he's got to stop being so happy. I mean, just the second we walked in.
Good evening. Welcome to the July 15th Select Board meeting. This meeting will be broadcast live and recorded by the Foxboro Cable Access. Why don't we start with the pledge? All righty. Ready?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any citizens' input? Nobody online? Okay, thank you. All right, we can delve right into our FIFA World Cup presentation. Introduce yourself, please, for the public, and you can start.
Sure. So I'm Mike Loyne, CEO of Boston Soccer 2026. I'm here with Ryan Windmill, Chief Security Officer, Tricia Fenton, VP Operations, Jean Wynn, Senior Director of Security, and Neil Doherty, Director of Government Relations. Thanks. Chairman, sorry.
No, please.
Chairman, Select Board, Manager Duncan, residents of Foxborough, my name's Mike Loyne. Boston Soccer 26 is the nonprofit forum to host the FIFA World Cup in Boston. A little bit of background on the event. The tournament will host 100 matches in 16 cities across Canada, the U.S., and Mexico. The overall tournament will welcome 48 national teams. The U.S. team will start their group stage matches in Los Angeles. Boston will not know who will be playing here until the match draw, which will be held in early December. Boston will have 7 matches here in Foxborough, welcoming 14 total teams. These 7 matches include 5 group stage matches. Saturday, June 13th, Tuesday, June 16th, Friday, June 19th, Tuesday, June 23rd, and Friday, June 26th. We will have 1 round of 32 match, which will be on Monday, June 29th, and we'll have 1 quarterfinal match, which will be on Thursday, July 9th. We'll include those in the presentation we send over. An interesting fact, a Super Bowl may reach about 126 million television viewers. An average World Cup match will reach over 200 million viewers, and the finals will reach over 1 billion. So it's an incredible opportunity to showcase our communities, our state, our town, our city. Our organization, Boston Soccer 26, is tasked with coordinating the overall operational planning in the region. This is an absolute partnership with the town of Foxborough, the stadium, our state, and our federal partners. The town and its residents are very important stakeholders in this project, and we see the journey as a path we will take over the year. We've been working diligently with Town Manager Duncan, Chief Kelleher, and Chief Grace, and their exceptionally talented and experienced team. Manager Duncan is a member of the senior-most leadership group in Boston, the Executive Operations Committee, along with the Chief of Staff for Governor Healy, the Chief of Staff for Mayor Wu, and the COO of Craft Sports and Entertainment. Chief Grace and Chief Kelleher and their leadership teams are key leaders in the Boston Executive Security Steering Group. And Ryan will go into some detail on the security planning. On transport, the host committee's role is to align our transportation partners to ensure a comprehensive, effective, and safe mobility plan for visitors, residents, and businesses. To achieve that, Tricia has formed the Boston Executive Transportation Steering Group. It was formed over a year ago, bringing together about 20 agencies from across New England and the U.S. to collaboratively plan and coordinate local and regional mobility operations. Boston has also taken a leadership role nationally, co-chairing the U.S. Host City Transportation Planning Group, working to align and coordinate planning amongst the host cities. Our celebration concept is focused on engaging residents and visitors, building an inclusive experience, amplifying the celebration throughout New England. The focus has been on working with the City of Boston to confirm and develop the official FIFA celebration site, the FIFA Fan Festival, which will be held in the City of Boston, working with the Commonwealth to identify and collaborate on regional fan zones, partner with our Sports for Impact partners to develop the grassroots Boston 26 Roadshow, to grow the sport of soccer and ignite the celebration across the communities in New England. Communicate and engage with municipalities to educate and inform them on the FIFA watch party regulations, which are pretty tight based on the broadcasters' restrictions. And we've established the Boston Executive Celebration Steering Group to align and collaborate with the other events taking place in June and July of '26. I want to mention a few notes on what it feels like or what it will feel like here in Foxborough during the tournament timeline. During the lead up to the matches, there will be increased activity, but it should feel a lot like a normal load-in day for the events here. On match days, the traffic management plan will remain intact as it would be for a typical event. We anticipate a larger percentage of spectators taking public transport. That will be accommodated via additional trains and a supplementary bus operation, and we anticipate this will reduce the number of total vehicles on Route 1. Post-event, the queues for the trains and buses, as well as the parking lots, are estimated to clear in a similar time to the normal event traffic. We're still working through the details, but we're anticipating a few things right now. FIFA will discourage tailgating. We expect this will be a challenge for the local fans, of course, but for the international visitors taking public transport, it would be a normal experience. We hope to limit passengers on trains and buses to ticketed spectators. We expect that any cars entering the parking lot will have a parking pass. Lot time openings will be the same as other events, approximately 3 hours prior to the event. And access to medical facilities and retail will be similar to existing event protocols. I want to be clear that all of this is a work in progress, and we are working to ensure the most secure and enjoyable event in the world, while we are committed to minimizing negative impact on the town. I was here for the matches in 1994, and I can say with hand on heart, this should be a special moment on the stage for all of us, and I commit that our team will work with the town to the best of our abilities to make sure of this. I'd like to hand over to Ryan to talk a little bit about the security plan.
Perfect. Thank you, Mike. As Mike said, I'm Ryan Windmill, Vice President and Chief Security Officer for World Cup Soccer Boston. I also have the privilege of chairing the 11 U.S. host city security working group, and then on the federal level, co-chairing the security steering group, which comprises of Boston, the FIFA security director, and then the DHS secretary for counterterrorism. So Boston has placed a keen note on making sure that we are the lead in implementing best practices across the board at the state, federal, and local level. And it's a privilege to share that. I'd like to just start off by saying, first and foremost, thank you to the board. It's a privilege to be here. I think, as you heard from Mike, part of our commitment really is making sure that we are working collaboratively with you, and I hope that this is the first of many collaborations in which we're formally sitting down to talk about an incredible celebration, an incredible tournament coming to Foxborough, but more importantly, as we move through this journey, we do it together, and this is not only the first, but won't be the last of a series of conversations. I also would like to thank the town manager, who over a year ago extended that collaborative invite along with Chief Kelleher and Chief Grace to start initial discussions, knowing, as Mike said, this tournament to a certain degree is a work in progress and we still have a lot of work ahead of us, but we're doing it shoulder to shoulder. And the town manager and Chief Kelleher were the first two to outreach and acknowledge that. And I think that's an important note, only because it was that type of foresight, knowing, as Mike said, the size, scope, and depth of this is really important, but making sure that before we made any final decisions, that the town was in lockstep with what Boston Soccer was doing, and that the citizens of Foxborough knew that their elected representatives were part of that decision-making process. We hope to continue honoring that commitment when it comes to safety and security, and again, welcome your support as we move forward. Few things about safety and security that I wanted to share and highlight as we move through this journey together. First off, as Mike mentioned, the tournament itself and the size of it is large and unprecedented. We have the stadium. We'll probably have 2 base camps here in Massachusetts, 6 designated hotels, a formal fan fest in Boston, and thematic throughout all the venues and training sites and hotels, as well as the stadium and the town of Foxborough, is safety and security, paramount and first and foremost. To address this challenge, we created and started a World Cup task force that's multi-state. It's comprised of approximately 60 state, federal, and local agencies, cross-border collaboration with Rhode Island as well as New Hampshire. We have 14 working groups specializing in areas from, tactical law enforcement to fire to public health to crowd management. Happy to share more offline a little bit in depth about the expertise that we're harnessing to resource and address this unprecedented tournament, which will be a great celebration. And I'd also like to note and just acknowledge the fact that when we started this, in addition to the 14 working groups, we also created an executive steering group for security comprised of the top 20 primary agencies here in Massachusetts. And notably, Chief Keller, Chief Noonan, and Chief Grace are actually not only on that executive steering committee, but they're leading 4 of the 14 committees that I just mentioned with you. So from the beginning, not only were we speaking and working with the town manager's office, but shoulder to shoulder in lockstep with both police and fire. And they've been extraordinary leaders throughout the process. I think one of the most incredible things that is important to share with you about approaching an event of this size is we've got a great governance structure, we have a lot of goodwill, and that's fantastic. But very noteworthy is the leadership effort of the 2 chiefs, in particular Chief Grace and Chief Kelleher. In addition to just being extraordinary men and doing great work at the stadium, doing great work with the town, they have been addressing best practices, collaborating with state and federal officials, going to endless meetings to make sure that not only are we set for the tournament and putting in those best practices, but more importantly, we're on a first name basis with all the partners that are becoming into the area, into the town, into the stadium. One of the things that I sometimes criticize them about is this takes an extraordinary amount of time. And quite honestly, in addition to the normal regular duties, they're out there saying, no, we're volunteering, we're going to sign up and we're going to lead. I couldn't think of 2 finer departments and 2 finer men to help us with this. And I wanted to probably tell you something that you already know. We got two of the best. So moving in through this process and this journey for whatever challenges we're facing, one of the questions that always comes up is, well, we have the whole world coming. We have a lot of moving parts. We have a lot of agencies. We've got FIFA in the mix. Should something happen here in the town, who's in charge? And unequivocally, I wanted to go on record and say, Mike Keller and Mike Grace, 2 trusted agents. This is their town. I couldn't think of 2 better qualified people to do it. So as we move through the process, we want to continue to stress that to our partners. I've seen them in action firsthand at the stadium for over a decade. I've worked with them collaboratively on the Homeland Security strategy that the governor has in Massachusetts. I feel actually very fortunate and blessed that we've got people like that at the helm. And I wanted to make sure that as part of the process and commitment and communication of this group for Boston Soccer, that as we move through the journey, that, again, not only having these formal commitments to articulate what we're doing, but to ask you to please come out and see some of the incredible work that you're already aware that they're doing and see some of the preparations firsthand. We'd love to welcome that type of firsthand experience and collaboration so that there's transparency in what we're doing. And again, open to all sorts of input so that we get this right. Turn it back to Mike.
Okay. I have a number of questions, and I
Go right ahead.
don't know if the board has any of themselves, but obviously you've kind of answered one of the questions, and that was that my assumption, we've always, the 2 chiefs have always managed the security and safety around the stadium. It's part of our agreement with the craft organization. I realize the craft organization, you've kind of supplanted them and you're in their place at this point in time where they have less to say with how the operation happens to work than you do. So obviously, the working relationship is going to be more with you than the craft group, although they're involved, obviously, in the process. Is that true or not true?
I'll address that first. So actually, they are still working closely with FIFA and will be collaboratively driving the security for the stadium. Our role is really around coordinating the agencies and how they work together with the stadium and FIFA. So just to be clear, we're a nonprofit that's arm's length from FIFA, and we're arm's length from the stadium. So our role as a host is to coordinate and lead for example, the executive steering group working with the chiefs. So I don't think that much will change from what the confidence that you would have in the existing relationships and the existing structure. If anything, I think they'll be solidified, and we worked very early on, about a year ago, to develop a governance structure that really described that, and it was very clear that FIFA was there as a partner, but in the end, it was the host committee working with the stadium that would drive that, and so I think that you can take comfort in that.
Yeah, accurate.
Yeah.
I also noted that most of the events are during weekdays. So that adds the complication of 95 and 495 traffic, which without a game is a fun time. Are the times of the games during the week, I didn't note that, where do they normally fall? Do they fall like in the afternoon, or do they fall at nights? How does that work?
So there's 4 slots. We're not quite sure at this point whether it'll be, Tricia, I'm sorry.
So there's a couple different cadences that they're thinking.
I'm sorry, Trish, could you come up
Yeah,
to the seat only?
because they can't hear it at all.
Sorry.
So with the match times, they'll be announced during the draw. So, but what we've been told is planning parameters that they could be 12, 3, 6, and 9, or 1, 4, 7, and 10. So we have requested that we don't have the 9 and 10 o'clock matches because of the transportation complications. But we won't know the times until the draw.
Okay. So obviously a 4 o'clock game will be interesting. A 7 o'clock game will be even more interesting. And again, our chiefs have worked with that, but these will be one after another, after another, after another. So it's a little bit more, I think, probably stressful, if I will, to not even just the town of Foxborough, to the people that commute between Providence and Boston, which, if you haven't had the joy of doing that at 4 o'clock from 3:30 to about 6:30, try it someday and see how it works for you. So that's a concern, and obviously, like I said, the chiefs are very familiar with it, but it will create some complications on its own. Saturday and Sunday events tend not to be as bad because we don't have that level of traffic that falls on us. We do a lot of concerts during the week, so again, we're not unused to it or used to it, but it is a concern that I think we have that way. Am I right in what you're saying, though? All pre-event things, not like a Super Bowl where we do things around the stadium for the pre-events, will be in Boston. They won't be out here?
That's correct. The fan festival proper will be in the city of Boston. We don't expect any public events on the off days. There will be some activity, broadcasters and the likes, but this will be more like a load-in day for a normal event.
Okay. So
Yeah.
again, like a Super Bowl where people who go early, they spend a lot of time around the stadium in the areas, a lot of events going on as far as, fan stuff.
Sure.
That's not going to be a concern of ours because it won't be really happening here, correct?
On off days. On match days, it'll be obviously.
It'll be what it is,
we all know
right.
It'll be busy.
Right, okay. And I guess the question that I have, the last question I have at this point at least, is around day events, as far as you made a comment that we're not going to, you're going to try to control people coming on trains and buses and stuff that don't have tickets to get in. Obviously, when stadium concerts happen, we know we have a lot of people who like to just go pay the fee to sit in the parking lot because they can hear the concert as clear as if they were sitting inside half the time. You don't anticipate that type of an issue with these events?
Certainly, we can't control everything, but we do believe that the process that we're putting in place with the MBTA and Phil Lang and his team at the MBTA, as well as with any supplementary bus operations, I think we will keep that limited to something like you might see at an average concert, is what I would say.
Now, we don't, and correct me if I'm wrong on this page, we don't have a lot of bus stuff for football games and stuff.
No, we have
So,
not.
yeah, we have none, so, thank you. So I'm curious as to how that's going to work with you trying to get the buses in up Route 1
Sure.
into this process, and how many buses you anticipate that, your transportation will actually have that you're trying to move. Again, Route 1 is Route 1. It's not a superhighway. So it has some issues relative to how traffic moves on it.
Sure, and we're going through the details of all of that now, and we'll keep you posted as it develops. What I can say on the good side is that anytime we have a bus full of people, it's it's a 15 to 20 cars off the road. So it's an advantage if we do it right, and certainly there's enough of a team working on that right now. Experience from the Army-Navy game was that some of the pressure of Route 1 was taken up by, people traveling on the train and traveling on buses as groups. So, we don't have that fully developed yet, but certainly there's quite a bit of attention paid to it.
And Mike, if I may add, we're working with Mass DOT as well, very closely with them, and also engaged with the engineering firm that does the existing traffic management plan for the stadium. And the stadium's also very much in those conversations.
Is anybody else?
You asked several questions that I had, because I had heard about the buses coming from Providence and Boston. Is that still happening from Providence as well, not just Boston?
Well, at this point, there's likely an event train coming from Providence. We're working through the logistics of that with the MBTA to understand how that would work as far as bringing a train in and getting it back out. For us, there's also the question of making sure that we have enough resilience. So if we do lose a train going to Providence, for example, for one reason or another, we have some bus operation that can take us back out. So at this point, yes, there would be some bus operations, primarily out of bus hubs in across Massachusetts. Tricia's identifying the locations of those now. Likely a bus hub in Providence, but we're still working that through with the state of Rhode Island and Providence. I don't think we're talking about a substantial number, though. It would be sort of the number of buses would be equivalent to a train load, so 30.
But we're still working on the details. It depends on what the capacity is on the event trains and how that sequences with the other trains coming from Boston.
Yeah, I just remember a couple months ago when they were busing people from the Mansfield and they were driving through the center of town, and these big, huge buses coming through. I'm just making sure that that's not going to happen.
I don't think there's any intention.
All of our bus routes, whether they're our buses or FIFA's buses, we have been working through the Transportation Executive Steering Group. We've identified the routes. We've put those forward to them to review and ratify what those routes are. So at this point, we are not looking at busing anybody through towns. Right. So.
And Chief is on the transport working group
Correct.
as
Chief
well.
is on that, and so is state police, and we also have some of the town sitting on that. So
Great.
definitely like everybody's input before we drive buses anywhere. So.
Great.
Deb?
Very informative, thank you. It's my first introduction to the start of this operation. A couple things. Thank you for what you've shared. I look forward to learning a lot more. It's, it's kind of hit the ground running kind of thing, so we're all learning, and it's fascinating. But it's also great to hear about the work connection you have with our chiefs and with Paige. You said it loud and clear, and we heard it, and that's a very nice thing to say. Thank you.
Thank you. We're very grateful for that relationship.
Yeah, no, my big thing with the buses also, you've pretty much answered that, but it was an interesting note when you said during your presentation that you're going to discourage tailgating. I found that kind of a little interesting that, you really can't discourage it, but is that not a normal thing with FIFA? People don't come in cars and tailgate, or?
Well, large parking lots are not a big thing with FIFA in general, right? Mass transit's like sort of the normal sort of transportation mode for soccer fans.
Okay.
So this is unique, certainly moving into the U.S. from some of the other places that they've held tournaments. But I think we're realistic. I've worked at the stadium in '94. I know the old stadium. I know the new stadium. I know the culture. But I do think that the international fans won't have an expectation of tailgating, really.
Right. They'll be coming by bus and by train.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't expect it to be a football game.
I don't see the amount of transportation on buses and trains to be 65,000 people, because we don't have that type of an operation currently. it would be a heck of a lift, if you ask me, to get there. But, so by that nature, I think you're going to end up with more people traveling in a way you don't really want to do, just because we don't have the infrastructure on that level. So, but we'll all kind of keep measuring as we go through here, I guess. Steph?
Same concerns and comments. I'm going to ditto what Deb said. It's nice to have you in before us to hear. We've been through some big events at the stadium, and we have incredible faith in both of our chiefs and their assistants, and they've always done a great job. A couple of things, just noting the dates. I know this is brought up, and I'm sure people, maybe not all the people in town, but the people who really need to know. We know that first date is usually Founders Day, so I guess we know that the people in town aren't going to like that, because it's Foxborough's very traditional, but we're not able to pick the dates. You're given the date, so that's just something that just making a note. If anybody's watching at home, I'm sure that Founders Day will take place, maybe a different date. We'll be working on it.
I can chime in on that. I did email Monica Fissler, and it's not 100% confirmed, and we're waiting to hear back from the Chiefs, but they are looking at the week before, so to get out of the way, because the Chiefs made it clear they couldn't handle Founders Day and World Cup at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's looking at like it'll be the 6th, subject to no conflicts, no concerns on public safety side.
You think FIFA's big?
And obviously, we won't know until, the school schedule for next year, I'm sure, is already done. I guess all depending on snow days and stuff, that Tuesday and Friday. I don't know if we'll still be in session with school, just to navigate, the school traffic with everything else that's going on. And so just looking back a little bit, so obviously, I remember when I was here in '94, I worked right up the street at the end zone then, so we had a lot of people in and out of there. So as far as security, I know you guys have the best of the best. Everybody, all the agencies, everybody's going to be involved. The world obviously is a different place from '94. So the last, I hate to say this in front of you guys, I'm not a huge soccer fan. We'll enjoy watching this on television, but that's not normally what I'm watching or paying great attention to World Cup. I am a football fan. So in the last 10 years, I guess we could go back 20 years after 9/11. I know everything changed, but just even to say in the last 10 years, even though it hasn't been hosted in the States, are you finding host sites that where there have been problems as far as security, people trying to do bad things? It's a big event taking place, and we know what happened here on 9/11. So they were looking to, do something to the United States. I know you guys are going to have all of this covered. Just curious, in the last 10 years, are you finding any serious security breaches or problems that you've had with World Cup?
First of all, I want to thank you for your question. Very thoughtful, and I respect the integrity of never forget and the sentiment in your question. That means a lot to me personally. The short answer is that today's plan is not the plan that we need tomorrow for World Cup. And I will tell you that from the beginning, with context to '94, there's so many lessons learned in terms of the progress that we made, as well as the threats that we're looking at from a town perspective, state perspective, international perspective, and stadium's perspective. Therefore, what we decided to do is really take a look at building this task force and being inclusive of our federal, state, and local partners, so that there is no stone unturned in terms of the resources that we can bring to make sure that we have a safe and secure event. Most notably, as part of my job with chairing the 11 city working group, is spending a lot of time in Washington, D.C., And I'm pleased to share also that all 11 cities have received $625 million in security funding as recently as last month, approved and passed and signed off by the president. I think that is a great place to start because 90% of that 625 is going to go to put police officers, firefighters, and EMTs on the street and make sure that they're paid for. So we are going to not only look at what we've done well with Super Bowls and other major events around the country domestically, but we're also looking extensively outward to see what the fan base demographic looks like in Europe and above and beyond internationally. And we're doing that actually in collaboration with FIFA, as well as our international law enforcement partners and our federal government quite successfully. So although there'll never be perhaps a 100% guarantee, I can tell you that proactively, we have been taking extraordinary and unprecedented measures to make sure that we're ahead of the game. And I will stress again my full confidence in both the chiefs who are at the tip of that spear. In fact, we just traveled down to New York City to observe a club match put on by FIFA at MetLife Stadium with 90,000, looking at their lessons learned and best practices. Although Chief Grace wasn't there, I'll tell you a quick anecdotal story. I was stopped by the New Jersey State Police Colonel for just an exchange of ideas, and he said to me, "Where's Chief Grace?" I thought he was coming down with this Massachusetts contingency. And I said, "Oh, he couldn't make it. He actually, he had an event that he was doing at the stadium at Gillette." And he said, "Well, tell him I send hello because I talk to him every other week." It's a great example and it's great testimony of that outward-looking, proactive measure to address really an evolving threat paradigm. And, with the task force, the scale, the scope, the federal funding, and Chief Grace and Chief Keller are on there, my assurance and my commitment is that when we look at what is the plan that we need for tomorrow, no stone is left unturned.
Yeah. And you know something, I mean, from what they say, what we have learned is, unless you're going to stay in your house and not go out at all, I mean, that's basically what the threat that was their intent, to scare people, and either you're going to live your life and with knowing what you all have in place, that's reassurance. There are no guarantees in life. But with that being said, we know, the stadium alone, no more, your bags have to be clear. There's no, there's no more backpacks, things like that. So I'm sure you guys have it all in place. I think I just had to ask the big question, is anything red flagged from other locations that is a worry for us. But I think it sounds to me you guys have everything in place, and we have, I have faith in what type of security will be on those events.
Yeah, and I would say one of my last comments will be lessons learned when you look at different events that have happened around the country in the last year or two. Communication is going to be critical. Obviously, our people, police and fire, can communicate very well because of our systems internally, but having, Homeland Security and everybody else be tied together in a communication platform that works is going to be key. Because if something comes up, the fact that one side knows and somebody else doesn't know is a critical flaw, if you ask me. So hopefully, as part of your, $625 million, that's something that's being addressed as well, so that there is no channel of communication issue that gets to our chiefs timely, so they can react with their staffs, appropriately as well. But that's just a comment.
I have a quick question. I realize there's no organized FIFA events around, but do we anticipate Patriot Place being activated? When we had the Army-Navy game, there were a lot of entities that rented out facilities in the region or in the area. Do we anticipate that type of interest? So while it might not be a FIFA sanction, do we anticipate parties all over the place, or do we know?
We don't anticipate on off days there being in that type of sort of activation. I think there'll be a normal sort of retail activity there on off days. On days, I don't think that's really sort of emerged yet, but we don't see that as a big pressure point. I don't know if Ryan, if you have any.
Does it in the rounds of play, will there be a team that maybe wins in the first round here that will be playing in another round here, or would they be going someplace else? I guess my question is, did the fan base stay here throughout the event, or are they moving as well?
For the group matches, they will be different, right? And then for the round of 32 and the quarterfinals, you may have a team that stays.
Yeah, but the group stage, there's a couple different patterns that fans will take. Some will follow their team, and some will base in one location, try to see as many games in that area. So it really depends on what the fans are trying to achieve, either seeing as many games as possible or base in one location. And we're starting an outreach to try to gather some of that information.
And we're in touch with the consulates, and our goal is, once we understand in December what teams are coming, we'll have a very strong relationship with the consulate, with the international team, and likely the fan base as well, so that we can communicate, and the law enforcement agencies.
I'm sorry, I'm not smiling because it's not funny, but with the current, political policies and as far as people being able to come into the country, do we anticipate any kind of issues around that for people who want to attend these events?
I don't think at this point, we're very comfortable that the right people are having the right conversations. Certainly, I mean, we're a small little organization relating to that, but.
Because that could be a real downer.
But you say, and it's funny, but it's not funny. Just about a week ago, there was a conversation just talking about World Cup, and someone was kind of like, if certain teams get here, are they going to be able to stay? Are they going to be kicked out? Are they going to be able to get back to their home? I'm sure everybody will be able to come and go as they're supposed to, but it's just funny that you said it, because people were like, oh, what if certain countries just can't get in to, or can't get home, but so.
Yeah, it's not, I assume the teams will have a certain amount of, preference on anything like that, but again, the fan base, just like we go to London to watch a football game that goes over there, they want to be here to watch their games, and it's not going to be just, people from the United States that would be coming around, so that's a lot of people that would be moving during that time.
Just a quick follow-up. I think that's part of the reason why we appreciate the trusted relationship that we have, and that this is the first of a series of dialogues. As we touched on transportation, security, international aspects of what is otherwise going to be a very successful celebration. As we get more information, we hope to share that in real time with you. So not only is the town manager and our chiefs informed, but so isn't this board, and that's part of our commitment, whether we do it formally or informally, at your convenience, quite honestly.
Well, and I would say to that point, I was just going to say we would welcome you back for updates on an appropriate timeline that, when you have more information to share on any one of those items. Just, again, I think more we can alert the public. Yes. In Foxborough, we're only 17,000 people, but again, dealing with people around all of our surrounding towns also have to face the same issues that we face. So
we'd be happy to do that.
Great. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Much appreciated.
Good luck.
I know.
That's fine. Thanks. Thank you. Marie, would you like to come forward?
This isn't as exciting as what these guys were just talking about. But
Oh, come on.
I have to do it.
What a fun spin on it.
So my name is Maria Almodovar. I'm the finance director. So I'm here before you with yet another policy. As you're all aware, we have a new audit firm, and they don't know us. It's their first year audit. So I'm sure there'll be other policies and things that they'll recommend that we change. So this is another one of them. And I have, is the clicker?
It's right,
Right here,
it's right
sorry.
there, Marie.
I did a PowerPoint just to put you guys to sleep. Well, I still might. So one of the things that we do with our yearly financial audit is we So the finance team essentially has to, we go through all of our ledger reports and identify any new assets, so any vehicles, equipment, anything new that was purchased. That's right now, it's anything that's at least $10,000 in value. What the auditors recommended was that we essentially, let me go through the PowerPoint. So why are we here? So the auditors recommended that we have a formal policy on the capitalization of our fixed assets. We don't currently have one, but informally, we've essentially been using that $10,000 threshold. What they recommended is that we have the policy aligned with our internal CIP approval, so anything that's $25,000 or more. And this is essentially to enhance our audit readiness and our internal controls. So currently, as I just said, our informal threshold is $10,000 is no formal written policy, and it's lower than that CIP minimum. What they've recommended is that we increase that to the $25,000. So anything that has a useful life of 5 years or more, all of these assets get depreciated using the straight line method. And the finance department, essentially, we're the ones that manage the classification and keep all of these records for the yearly audit. This will essentially, by having a policy, it reduces the uncertainty as to which purchases to capitalize. If something were to happen to me, we don't have it documented anywhere that we capitalize, assets with at least a $10,000 cost. So at least with a policy, like I said, you have guidance, so the department knows what to do there. For anything that's smaller than the $25,000, you could use inventory control for that. You could do that at the department level. Another thing that we'll be looking into is to essentially having a master listing document. And I was actually talking with Paige and Katie earlier today. It sounds like they already have some sort of file that has all of our vehicles, equipment, things like that, buildings. So this is essentially what it would look like. So land and construction in progress, you capitalize on that. You don't depreciate those assets. So it's $25,000 across the board. If you wanted, you could do higher thresholds for like buildings, building improvements. But right now, what we're recommending is that we just go with $25,000. That's what our CIP approval process is. And then on the right side, we have the useful life. That's another thing too, is because we didn't have a documented policy, the team from 10 years ago was using different useful lives for these assets. Whereas now, if you have it documented, like I said, anyone can come in and complete our fixed assets for our financial statements. So the benefits of adopting a policy, as I stated, it improves the consistency and compliance, reduces the administrative burden, it strengthens your audit preparation, it aligns with our internal CIP process, and promotes transparency and accountability. The next steps is for you as the board to review. The auditors did recommend that you as the board adopt this policy. If you agree with this policy, it would become part of our the town's finance department policies and procedures document. That is a document that has everything from the assessing of properties to investing, year-end reporting, how we do the budget process. So this would become a sub-policy under that document, and it would be effective for fiscal year 25, which is the current fiscal year that they're auditing. So it'd be effective immediately, and we would start using this right away. And that's it.
I'll let you guys start. Deb, do you have any questions?
Are you comfortable with that increase?
Yeah, I figured
I see your reasons why, like streamlining and less redundancy, but are you comfortable?
Yes, like I said, anything that's less than $25,000, we'll still capture that in our financial statements. We'll just show those as expenditures versus when you capitalize something, you're depreciating it over the 5, 7, 10 years. So it's still being captured, but this will also, it's not going to materially affect the financial statements. So I think To start, I think it's a good move. Personally, I think we should probably do what I said earlier, maybe having like the building be 50,000 or 100,000. But I figure we'll do this for now, line it up with the CIP approval process, see how it goes, and then if it needs to be tweaked, then I will be back in front of you.
That makes sense.
Yeah, no,
Amy?
I agree. No, I'm good.
Yeah, no, I thought Deb's question was spot on, you know, the 10 to 25, but other than that, if you're comfortable, it's awesome.
Steph?
Nope, no questions.
So, a couple questions. My assumption is if you were to do a purchase of 1,000 computers, and they were going to cost $100,000, each computer doesn't cost over $25,000, but you would still capitalize that because it's a single purchase.
Yes.
Okay. I think the other question, the 25,000 I'm very comfortable with. I mean, that's to be, you know, but I guess I'm curious as to how well we are positioned to capture all those other purchases that are under, you know, I'm trying to think of things like, well, when you said like on the building, so I think 25,000 on a building is really too low. And the reason I'm saying that is if you look at a building and we had to replace one of the cooling towers out here, it's, you know, it's something that's not going to last 25 years. It's a compressor on top of any one of the schools. You know, you can buy the unit up there and they're going to be, you know, $25,000, $30,000, $40,000. Again, they're not going to last 20 years. So I guess I look at the building side as a very different animal than regular assets. Again, we could try it for a while and see, you know, if you start ending up with 16,000 entries that you have to start accounting for, I think that would be, you know, a little bit ridiculous because that's general maintenance in my mind.
Yeah,
that's not really an asset that you're going to get a long-term benefit. You get a benefit, but not a long.
Yeah, we essentially, like I said, we run various reports. So anything like, for example, the DPW facility renovation, we're capturing all of that. But basically, we would only capitalize assets or any improvements that add value to the asset. Anything like regular maintenance, things like that, we're not capturing that, even though like you might be repairing something, but is it really extending the useful life of that? So you have to, once you have that list, you go through it and narrow it down. And even when we're through with it, the auditors will say, oh, maybe we shouldn't have these ones on there. Maybe we should add these. And it's kind of a little bit of back and forth.
Should the policy account for those? Should the policy make some kind of a note to that effect?
We can, let me see. I think I did include, let's see here. Included the language around that if it's not, if the expense is not extending the useful life. Yeah, so it says repairs, maintenance, and replacement parts are generally not capitalized as they do not extend the asset's useful life or significantly increase its value. If costs are incurred simply to keep an asset in its normal operating condition and the life of the asset is not extended, such costs should not be capitalized. So, I mean, we could certainly,
Yeah.
I can tweak it and, you know, add anything.
So that kind of gets a little dicey because I'm thinking of like the Ahern we just replaced. What was it, $250,000 worth of cooling units. Again, doesn't extend the building's life, but as an asset, it's obviously a major expenditure. So
We did, I think thinking of the chillers that were replaced, those did get captured. So like I said, it's a lot of back and forth with the audit firm. Like I said, with a new firm, I mean, they'll have plenty of suggestions and ideas for us. Like I said, this isn't I figured we could do this for now. It will be a working document. If we need to tweak anything, I'll certainly be back here. And if you have anything that you would like me to add, I'm happy to do so.
no, I'm a firm believer in having policies in place that set expectations. So
Yeah.
I'm personally in favor of this. But okay. Anybody have any other thoughts?
No, good.
Nope.
Wanna,
Gosh. All right. Motion to approve the presented fixed asset capitalization policy.
Second.
any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none? Thank you very much, Maria.
Thanks, Marie.
Hi, Marie, thank you.
And like I said, I'm sure I will be back with a policy, maybe 10 more. Have a good night. Thank you.
Aye.
Okay. Boards, committees, and commissions. Someone's
That would
favorite
be me.
subject.
Yeah,
Katie's
I-
favorite subject.
My favorite thing to do. We confirmed with town council, and there's a sheet next to each of your computers, but we are able to amend our town bylaw to have some of these appointments be indefinite. So it's just not appointing the same person every year. It's just paperwork and coming in to be sworn in every time for these individuals. So if you see on the first section of your paper, that's the current language that's in the code of the town of Foxborough and how letters B and C read. And what we're proposing tonight is for the second half under B, for the language to just read for a term of 1 year, a sealer of weights and measures, and an animal inspector to perform appropriate duties assigned by the select board. And you'll see that some of the duties obviously are just deleted from the current language, and that's because we're able to make those indefinite appointments.
Based on position, not based on person.
Right, correct, and that aligns. MTC did confirm this just with state bylaws and regulations as well. The only one, right now, our veterans agent or director is a yearly appointment, but through the state, we're able to bump that to 3 years. So that's where you'll see in letter C, I did on the highlighted section, just insert a superintendent of streets and then a veterans agent or director to amend that. And should the board be in favor of this, it would first be, you'd have buy-in from this board, and then it would need to go to town meeting in the fall. And then if that is approved there, I'll do the reappointments for the people that would be indefinite and then get on a schedule from there.
So a veterans agent and director, who's the director?
There's not, but I do believe you have that position just within your bylaw. Like, for example, like when you see a part-time youth recreation director, which is currently in the bylaw, we don't have one of those, but
Okay.
it's just there if
Okay.
you need it.
It's covering the base. I got you. Thank you.
No, sounds good.
Any comments, concerns?
Nope.
Pretty straightforward.
Okay. Motion to amend the following appointments from 1-year terms to indefinite terms. Sealer of weights and measures.
I'm so sorry, Amy, to interrupt. If you just want to just say as discussed, because that one, I did not update that motion, how it should read.
Sure. Motion to amend as discussed the following appointments from 1-year terms to indefinite terms. Sealer of weights and measures, an animal control officer, a plumbing inspector, a wiring inspector, a gas inspector, 2 burial agents, veterans agent and director, and part-time youth recreation director.
Second.
I'm unclear. Does that make sense?
No, I'm so sorry. I just didn't
think
do
so.
it right. So if you could just say, motion to amend the following to 1-year appointments. I'm sorry, motion to amend the following to indefinite appointments and just do not read the first two. Start with plumbing inspector.
Okay.
Sorry.
Nope, it's okay. Motion to amend the following appointments to indefinite terms. Okay. So I'm skipping the first two.
Start with plumbing. Yep.
All right, a plumbing inspector, a wiring inspector, a gas inspector, 2 burial agents, veterans agent and director, and part-time youth recreation director.
Good job.
Sound good?
Thank you. Apologies for that.
You're fine.
Any other discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none?
And then 4.02 would be, Amy did catch this, we do need to appoint, or the board needs to appoint a second person to the audit committee. So right now we have Amy as our first appointment and just need a second appointment from this board as a representative.
Anybody have any interest?
Was there always 2 appointments?
Yes.
It was an individual, it was a resident
Yeah.
that wasn't very active, but this board did appoint that person.
Oh.
Oh, I see. So it doesn't have to be a board member.
It does not.
Got it.
So do we put it out to see if there's any interest from the public?
That would be my suggestion.
I mean,
I thought you were going to volunteer.
Let's see if someone from the town wants
I mean,
to,
I
I was
think,
gonna say, I would have volunteered but if you'd like to put it out to,
what's it then?
Would you like to be appointed in now, and if we get interest?
fine.
There hasn't been interest for a while, right?
I know there hasn't, that's why I was maybe.
They're not knocking the door down?
So that's why
I would
I'm
be
like,
happy to be replaced if somebody comes steps forward, so, but I'm also happy to sit around with Amy and the other members.
it seems to be your expertise anyhow, so.
did I use your formal name?
Yeah, well, whatever.
Motion to appoint William Yukna as the second Select Board appointment to the Audit Committee.
Second.
Any other discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? None? Thank you.
Thank you, both.
Townwide strategic planning request.
Yes, okay. So 2 weeks ago, I sent off a draft RFP, which is a request for proposal, for a townwide strategic plan for your review. And I am wondering if there are any questions, concerns, comments. The main part I think I directed you to look at was because there's a lot of mandatory language in there that's pro forma, but the overview and background and objectives is unique to Foxborough, as is the scope of work and deliverables. So that's all in the first, 10 pages. And then starting on page 21 is the comparative evaluation criteria, and that's how the consultant would be chosen, basically evaluating each consultant against highly advantageous, not advantageous, or unacceptable. So I'm curious if you have any questions, concerns, edits, anything. I didn't get anything, so I'm assuming it's perfect. But
Honestly, I didn't see anything that raised a question in my mind. for
I'm
it,
just
so.
amazed that it was a 21-page document. I mean, it's just, I went through it and I'm like, wow, this is what we have to do for an RFP. And I know we've done it for a few others, but I thought it was outstanding. I didn't see anything that needed other than my jaw dropped.
we did have department heads review it, so I wrote it and then circulated it through, and we got great feedback from a variety of department heads. So this was informed by all of them, and I'm so thankful I even remembered to do that or thought to do it because the input was so valuable. So everybody did take a look at it and gave input where they saw fit. So in the case of what I'd be seeking tonight is for the board to okay me, okay this RFP, and then I will go ahead and issue it. Our plan is to get it out as soon as possible, but you'll note in the draft that there were some areas where it talked about timing at the end of August, but we've had some experience with that where summer, everything just slows down, especially in the consultant world. People go on vacation July and August, and I think we've learned the hard way. So in reviewing, when I saw the dates, I bumped it out to September 18th because then I thought any consulting firm that has a whole month of August where there are a lot of vacations and whatnot, that would give them adequate amount of time to review this and because it's a lot of work, with 21 pages, they have a lot of work to do. I wanted to make sure they had a couple weeks to get it done so that we can get the most and the best applicants. So this would go out soon, but it would be open for a while to allow us time to get everybody.
Yeah, and quite honestly, I thought the comparative criteria was very good. So I think, to your point, there's a lot of work for them to basically show those qualifications. There's a lot of work on their side if they truly want the job to do it right. So I really don't see 2 more weeks as being an issue, and I agree with you. Getting anybody during the summertime to do stuff is just try to drag them out of it. So. Any other questions or concerns by members? No? then I would propose we move forward with it.
Okay. Motion to approve the request for proposals, RFP, for a town-wide strategic plan to be issued by the town manager in ordinance with applicable procurement requirements.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none?
Next. Okay. I wasn't sure if we had anything else. Hot off the presses from Chief Michael Grace, who is at the Coldplay concert right now. He wanted us to all be aware that a team of assessors from the Massachusetts Police Accreditation Commission is scheduled to arrive on July 22nd to begin examining the various aspects of the Foxborough Police Department's policies, procedures, operations, facilities. As you know, they're accredited, so they're seeking their re-accreditation. So it's a self-initiated process, and they're striving to meet standards and maintain the standards established for the profession by the profession. So there are 257 mandatory standards as well as 125 optional standards. And to achieve accreditation status, the department must meet all applicable mandatory standards as well as 69 out of the 125 optionals. And they received accreditation in 2022 and must be reaccredited after 3 years. So that's why it's coming up. So congratulations to that team. We have all the faith in the world on them, but I know it's a lot of work and it doesn't come easily. So thank you again to Foxborough Police. Several of us attended the Neponset Ave workshop that was held last week at the community center. I think there were about 100+ people there. It was a very interesting conversation, and it's just the first of. I did happen to speak to Paul Ahern from the company, and while they are seeking to move along, he didn't want the impression to be that the town had to rush. So we don't anticipate rushing anything for fall town meeting. It was clear through the discussion that there's more discussion to be had, so residents can stay tuned. We did hear their voices. There were kind of disparate voices going on, so I think there's more refinement to be done and more consideration to be given. But we were thrilled with the turnout, and we hope more people will continue to show up, which leads me into my plug for the land use workshops. I do see social media, and I did hear the complaints about the July 8th meeting, and one of the hard things for us is that we did advertise that for weeks in advance, and I realize it's a quiet time in the summer. That said, we have to continue working, and particularly at the time we thought there was some time sensitive with the Neponset, so we didn't want to put that off till the fall because we didn't know the time crunch. We have to keep going also on our master plan, so that is ongoing, and on July 29th there will be another meeting at the community center, and that's to discuss the best way to accommodate Foxborough future growth and development. August 26th at 3:45 we'll be discussing senior housing needs. And then September 9th at 7 at the community center, we'll be discussing the future of Foxborough. There are numerous surveys up at planfoxborough.com. And I know I mentioned this before, and I get frustrated because we don't know how to reach our residents, and that's the hard thing. I mean, not everybody gets the reporter anymore. There was a little survey done on Uptown Happenings, I believe, that asked, how do you want to be reached? And most people chose social media, but then there's a lot of people that aren't on social media, so it really has been a challenge for us. We've done billboards, we do the sign on the common, we put notices on town hall, we put it on our website, we put it on our social media, the police department. We don't really know how else to share, so we would ask the residents to engage with us as well, to try to remember to check the website now and then, to feel free to call and check. It's asking a lot, I realize, but it's kind of a two-way street, and we are having some trouble reaching. And so we want people to know what's going on in town. So I'll just share that in hopes that people will continue to stay involved. We're thrilled when 100 people show up, but when we have a community of 18,000, my fear is that the frustration on the other side, as you've heard me mention, is that folks a year or two will say, well, I never wanted that. Well, now's the time to get your voice in. So as we continue with the master plan, and then as we go on with the strategic plan, voices matter and input matters, and I know everybody's busy, but I would just ask that that there be some engagement.
I'm going to put a shameless plug in towards what we've talked about in the past and potentially bringing forward, which is an electronic community board on the Common. Because I have to be honest with you, trying to read the individual lines on our current thing are so small. If you're driving, you're not going to see that at all. Where any one of our other boards, if you're driving by one of the schools or even the old senior center, you know, a 2-second glance over, you see what's going on in something. And I think we're missing a lot of people in town by not figuring out a way to do that so that people can get the messages as they move around town. And again, it eliminates, you know, the whole, whether you're not on this, you know, social media platform or you're not on, you know, going to the website or you're not doing this. If you're around town, which pretty much everybody is, you're going to see those messages as they come around. So I think it's something that, again, under your communications platform, we need to have a serious look at and see if the town will have an appetite to do it. And it can be done tastefully. I don't think it has to distract from the Commons at all. I really don't. I think we've upgraded a lot on the Commons over the years now to be, you know, 2025, and no one seems to have, you know, thought we did, you know, took a hatchet to the Commons. It looks very nice and stuff like that. So I think if it's done right, but I think it will be much more successful in getting the message out, no matter what the message is. Emergencies, whatever.
So I was thinking the same thing. I'm glad you brought that up. Obviously, from a historical point of view, Jack Othlet would never have allowed that. But now, sadly, now that he's not there, what steps do you think we need to do to get that done? I'm willing to take that on if you want to push that
It
through.
would have to go to town meeting.
To allow
The zoning.
zoning
Issue,
to
The
because-
sign bylaw wouldn't allow it.
But it's the same thing that we did for the Rodman, you know, facility, in which they currently didn't have the right to do it, but when we brought it to town meeting to give them the right, we'd have to do the same thing for ourselves.
put it on the list.
Well, I will say you're not on social media.
I'm not.
I can say there's a lot of engagement about that topic.
Negatively?
Oh, yes.
Really?
Yes, so that is a hot button, and it's not for me to decide, obviously. I guess as a compromise, would a less volatile choice be maybe the community center? I know it's not the Common, but I'm just trying to think. I mean, Amy, you're on social media, Steph, you are, Deb.
I'll be very honest, I am not for it. But that's just my opinion.
On the Common?
On the Common.
Right.
We have enough of them between the schools that if there's an emergency, we could do that, or the community center, or town hall. So that.
Yeah, and you know something, I was thinking as the discussion was going on, I'm like, uh-oh, here we go, right? Because I was like, we're gonna get the comments because the last time it was brought up. Now, Bill hit the word that was in my head, tasteful. And listen, I have no problem. Well, we would have to go to town meeting anyhow.
Right.
Everybody at home, the 5 people here are not making this decision. It would be
Right.
made by the people. But, you know, and while I somewhat agree, little bits of all the comments everyone brings forward, the Common is the center of town. People, that's where most people would see things. You know, community center is a great idea. And if there's, you know, a way to hit stuff there. But I will say, you know, and again, no, the comment that was made was that, like, that we were bashing on Mr. Othlet. And I don't think anybody would ever do that. He was a very important man to, you know, to this community. But, you know, times they are changing. Do we want the Common to, you know, and I know there's going to be lots of people that are going to share Amy's opinion and just say, no, I don't want it. But I think it's worth looking into what we could do that would be somewhat tasteful and not all of a sudden, you know, we have lights on the Common. We never had lights before. We allow a lot of things to happen on that Common, a lot of get-togethers. You know, different organizations or running things, we let them put the ribbons around the common. At one point, they didn't want, it was like it was hallowed ground, and nobody wanted anything done to that common. I think it's worth a discussion. And then we move forward, and if it's voted, however it's voted at town meeting, it's voted at town meeting. I think the people should get the opportunity, but we have the information. We can't just listen to any more like, I didn't know about this meeting, I didn't know this was happening. Not everybody is on social media, not everybody does each form of social media. And just to say to people, go on the website, some people will, some people won't. The same people who won't go on the website will complain that they didn't hear about certain things. So I think it's worth a discussion. All right, at home, before you stop bashing us, no one's pushing it one way or the other. It's worth a discussion and to see, what might,
And I'm not envisioning anything changing in the two
Pillars.
Nope. I'm looking at the same format, but to be able to, at town hall, change the message. It could be the same font that's already up there, the big black letters, but to be able to do it quicker, maybe have a few stars, maybe the word important if we need to, but to be able to do it more efficiently, but not change the basic.
To your point, Doc, I don't envision something that's, flashing green,
No.
blue lights and stuff like that.
No.
And again, we can put that control on it. That's the easy part, is us putting the control on how it's actually displayed. And again, to Steph's point, I agree wholeheartedly. All we're doing is putting the possibility out there. And if the townspeople just say absolutely not, then that's fine. That's the way it ends up going. No one's going to, be upset about it. It is what it is.
It's funny too, because as I was reading some of the comments, I thought, but you guys don't mind us putting that big, for election day.
The DPW board,
The DPW board sitting right there. I'm like, for me, if you had you would have a problem with one of those boards, the DPW board is hideous. You know what I mean? But it's necessary because we're trying to make sure people know town meeting and whatever. I just, and I think your idea is great too. That might be something that.
Well, that's a fallback, because to your point, it is the center, and not everybody's heading that way, so you would miss, same with coming down South Street, not everybody's coming this way. That is more the center, but.
Yeah, because having it here, I got to be honest with you, maybe once every 2 months I come down South Street now that the kids aren't going to high school anymore, so I'm going down.
Well, and to be honest with you, the schools have enough of their own activities that thing is cycling for every school. So for us to expect that they're going to do our town business too, is not likely going to happen. So
and at one point, that was not allowed, and then same thing with Marilyn Rodman. I think it's, like I said, just worth a discussion. And some of the comments were that that Jack Arthurlet was being disrespected, and
that's not the issue here at all.
No, and I think the only thing was that was something very strong for him, and we can all respect that.
We respected,
But I will also say that, as I said, there have been, he was very much into the antique lights that were on there. We worked respectively to build LED lighting that looks similar to the antique lights. And again, that's just a way of progressively doing something that brought us into where we are today. That project also added a lot of, electrical outlets to allow us to do things like the JCs on the Commons and all their events, because they didn't have that kind of power capability before that they have now. The benches, another total upgrade and different, thing with people getting to have their names on the town common, not something that was done before that way. So again, has nothing to do with, Jack not being here. I love Jack. I thought he was, the foundation of this town in so many ways. But again, I think as we slowly move forward, we need to kind of make things happen that allow the town. And again, if anything is done in a tasteful fashion, I think most people would say that it's a an okay process. But obviously, if you put up flashing, multicolored, bizarre stuff.
Right, but when you talk
That's not it.
about it, that's the first.
That's
thing.
everybody would think, but that's not what it has to be.
Right.
Even the schools, sometimes I look at them and say, but, we could control what the policy is for how that works. And even the Rodman thing, they don't go kind of wild on their thing. It's very straightforward, message-based, and that's what I would assume this would be as well. Again, I don't care how it ends up. If the taxpayers say no, they say no.
They say no.
But if we don't ask them, we're never going to get a yes. So.
And the funny thing was, one of the comments, they were talking about people taking their eyes off the road to read the board, and I thought to myself, they're taking off their eyes to read a board that you almost can't read.
Right.
So listen. There's going to be people who don't want any part of it, and there's going to be people who are say that's a great idea, and then town meeting somewhere in the middle will determine if it's a good idea.
All right, well, that's for the future, fun.
Yeah.
We have a new business coming to town. The Painted Fox Art Gallery is opening on Saturday at noon at 6 Central Street, which is the former Trading Post site, where the old Trading Post was. So please consider checking out the Painted Fox after Saturday at noon. And then the board is invited to a ribbon cutting. Is anybody going to be in town on Saturday at noon? Would you be interested in? You'll be away.
This Saturday? Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to be in New Hampshire.
So maybe Debbie and Amy could do it? Okay. The veterans are busy as usual. They're going to have
Debbie's not going to be. She's shaking her head.
veterans are
Amy, it's on you.
It's fine.
going to have an Agent Orange candlelight vigil on August 10th from 5:30 till 8:30 p.m. Mark your calendars. And then a POW MIA 24-hour candlelight vigil from 11 a.m. on September 18th until noon on September 19th.
Is that a weekend?
It usually is.
Usually,
Yeah, usually is.
Let's see. More on communications. I ranted already about that, so I'll leave that. But we did get one thing done on the website. We now have a widget. So what that is, it's a tool that's been added. It's mandated. We had a year or so to get it done, but basically it helps folks with disabilities better access and navigate the site. So now the widget offers things like screen reader compatibility, text resizing, color contrast adjustments, keyboard navigation, translations, and it's more inclusive for the community. We comply with the American with Disabilities Act, and it just shows that we are really trying to be open and accessible to everybody regardless of ability. So it's a small but important step. And we do have one job advertised right now. It's the DPW water technician. Speaking of, I don't have this written down, but we did make an offer to a conservation agent today, and he accepted. So we're excited to welcome Craig Wiley. You'll get to meet him. He's not starting till August 11th. But he has some experience, strong experience with stewardship. In fact, right now, I believe he's living on Cuttyhunk Island as the steward of that land. He lived year-round there with 40 residents, and right now they're booming with 500 residents. So he has a lot of experience with dealing with people and stewardship and some wetlands experience. So we're thrilled to, there were 51 candidates, interviewed 4, and so Craig was our selected.
And you want to come till after the summer?
Well, he has a big thing, actually. They have a big event on Cuttyhunk Island on the weekend of August 1st, so he needs to stay for that. So he said he could start midweek, and then we said, why don't you start the Monday after? Because trust me, we wanted him in here stat, because poor Catherine's alone. Construction. So Walnut Street, as you can see, they're working fast and furiously out there. They were doing pavement milling, and they're supposed to start paving soon. It was supposed to be actually today, but there's been just a little bit of issue making sure that we get the electrical inspected. So there's been some questions about who has to inspect what. Chris Gallagher was out there at 5:30 yesterday morning getting that taken care of. So we anticipate the lights will be ready to go, hopefully by the end of this week with paving. We'll see. A ramp might be closed tomorrow or the next day. Stay tuned for details on that. And just, I did learn this yesterday, that once the lights are activated, they're going to flash for a couple weeks. And I was like, why? And then Chris explained it gives everybody a chance to get used to them, which I'm like, well, you don't think those massive structures that we've been driving through for 6 months? But apparently they will flash for a few weeks and then they will become active. So the paving projects that were going on right around July 4th are now complete. They're looking at what's next. They're going to do the Maple Ave sidewalk for the fall. The Central Street parking lot paving was completed on June 27th. And the Main Street sewer project, which we're all familiar with, began Monday, July 7th and is planned for 4 weeks. And there's been a detour going on. I know, Doc, you've been experiencing that. We did just also get a notification about, and I wanted to make sure folks heard this, that there will be work on I-95 southbound over Oak Street in Foxborough. The work's going to be performed tonight through Thursday from 8 p.m. till 5 a.m. with lane closures as needed. So if there's any noise or whatnot, it could be from Oak Street, the highway over Oak Street. And then lastly, I know I brought this up last time, but the pressure is on about the 250th anniversary celebration because the town of Franklin just put out a big old press release about their 250 celebration.
So it's not next year, it's the year after?
I think it's 2028. Oh yeah, 1778. Good job.
Let's not guess.
So it's coming up. I did take a look at Rentham, and I mean, my gosh, they had a lot of events. I mean, I had notes from it. They had a whole calendar year of events and whatnot. There was a committee for this. So I don't know how Foxborough wants to do it. I keep throwing it out there, seeing if someone wants to grab onto it. I don't exactly know. I know in Rentham, just because I worked there and I know the people there, the town clerk was actively involved, and I believe the moderator, just being town residents, they were very involved, and then one of the select board members. So there were a bunch of town officials, but it was more done as a community project. So just throwing it out there that Franklin put out their notice, and I went, wow, they're ahead of us, darn it. So I sent it to Maura.
So Paige, so do you think that, does that fall on the select board to start to committee, or does that revert back to Founder's Day committee for them to put a committee, for them to
I think it's separate from Founder's Day.
Okay.
I think they have their hands full with their one day.
Yeah.
From what
I'm sure they'll incorporate something
Yes,
in
yes.
this.
And of course, Foxborough can do it however way they want. I'm just telling you sort of what I saw in Rentham and now what seems to be happening in Franklin. It seems to be a separate group. There is no Founder's Day, though, in Rentham or Franklin, so they don't have the equivalent. So I don't really know. I envisioned it as separate, but I do see it as more community driven. But they had in Rentham, I don't know that they did a 501c3, but they did have collections. They did it maybe a different way through a fund, so they didn't have to do the 501c3, but they collected a lot of money. They had donations and big patron partners and whatnot. They had a parade. I mean, they had a lot of things. So it really is up to however Foxborough wants to do it.
Yeah, Mansfield's having theirs right now.
Oh, they are?
They just had theirs, like their parade a couple months ago, and
Okay.
they're
For
doing
this-
different things, but they did the whole fundraising and the banners on the poles and stuff like that.
So it's a
for
big
theirs.
deal.
Yeah.
I'll just keep throwing it out there for 3 years and see what everybody else. I'm not volunteering. I'm good. But just maybe someone watching at home will get passionate about it. It sounds to me like a passion project. It's going to be a lot of work. I think it's a lot of fun watching my friends in Rentham do it. I mean, they were bonded. They were having, all these meetings. They were having a great time. So it looked like a lot of work, but a really good experience for them. But it still is. You're running a lot of events and you're doing a lot of work. So it is but they took it very
it's
seriously.
like events throughout the whole year.
They did. They had a gala. They had parades. They had all sorts of different things. So, yeah. So everybody just put their collective thinking caps on. Whatever you want, you decide. But it's time to celebrate Foxborough in 3 years. That's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, as far as select board updates, I just wanted to say something to the whole board. I mean, I know a lot of times the chair is the one who would bring new things forward, but I want each one of you, if there's something that's going on, I know I missed something a while ago, Amy, that you had asked if we could have a recognition of somebody. I think this is the perfect time for any one of us, if there's something that comes up, to bring it to the board, to bring it to the public. So I want you all to be very comfortable in bringing that forward, because I think it is the appropriate venue at that point in time. It's not, quite honestly, I don't have anything at this point for that's going on currently. We were actually trying to think about it, but, everything has been either, addressed by the town manager, but whether it's, something is going on within, a community activity within the town or something like that, please feel free to bring it forward at these points.
One big news is for all of us, brace ourselves. Katie's on vacation next week.
I'm taking the week off.
Trust me, I'm taking, so.
You're too kind.
And we have,
on the front door.
yeah, we're locking things up. No, but Deb, we have made arrangements, right, for the phone? Yes, the phone's covered. So
It's going to just go right to you.
Right on the beach, just.
Thank God we're not meeting for another month.
trust me, we worked this meeting around Katie's vacation.
You're too kind. No, but call me if you need me.
We're going to try to leave her alone.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Okay. Action items?
Okay. Motion to approve a one-day beer and wine license application for Tapped Beer Truck to host an event at Normandy Farms Campground, 72 West Street, on July 26th from noon to 4 p.m.
Second.
So just as other discussion, we've already approved dates. This was a date that they had not put on that original list. And so it's not something that they haven't done before or aren't already allowed to do. We're just adding a date for it.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Thank you.
Motion to accept the donation from Beverly Lord in the amount of $120 to the Foxborough Cultural Council.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None.
Motion to accept the donation from Keith Polis in the amount of $855 to the Foxborough Cultural Council.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None.
Motion to accept the donation from the Foxborough Professional Firefighters in the amount of $150 to the Historical Commission for help in researching the townhouse fire history.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion to accept the donation from Liza Click in the amount of $200 to honor of Bill Sides' help within the Historical Commission.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay. Motion to accept the donation from the Mustafa and Yassi families in the amount of $300 for the Youth Police Academy.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None.
Motion to accept the donation from the Foxborough Historical Society in the amount of $1,200 for a memorial bench at the community center.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion to accept the donation from the Brasides Charitable Foundation in the amount of $1,125 for camp scholarships.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Is that
Rack?
camp, is that, booth camp?
I don't know. Is it?
They just wrote camp scholarships on the donation form.
The only camp we have is the recreation camp that I know of, unless somebody else.
Yes, I do believe so.
Okay.
Well, I don't know, they talked about the fire, you know what I mean?
Police Academy.
Like,
Oh,
I don't know
the
if they
police
referred to that
academy,
as camp though,
yeah.
right? But I was just, that's what I thought, thought it was funny, it didn't say recreation.
Okay. Motion to accept the donation from James R. Green in the amount of $3,100 for recreation scholarships.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion to accept the donation from the Foxborough Fish and Game Association Incorporated in the amount of $500 for the fishing derby.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Motion to appoint Ian Bowen. What is it?
Owen.
Bowen to the Personnel Board for a term to end May 31st, 2027.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None.
Okay, motion to approve the use of public way application for Max Performance Sharon Triathlon on August 10th, 2025, traveling on Willow Street and East Street.
Second.
So as a point of discussion, this has already been approved or reviewed by our public safety, so all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None.
Motion to approve a Class 1 auto application for Mac Ta MA Incorporated, doing business as Pete's RV Center located at 95 Washington Street with an expiration date of December 31st, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Motion to approve Select Board meeting minutes from June 24th, 2025.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Night, everyone.
Good night.
Our next meeting actually is August,
August 10th, is it? Or what is that, August 12th, 10th?
hold on one second.
And I thought it was the 9th.
Thought it was like that.
Oh, it might be the 19th, you're
It's
right.
the 19th.
Okay, August 19th.
August 19th.
Thank you.
I don't know where I got the 10th, the 12th. Oh, no.